Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the vlog. My name is Landry, and this week I want to talk to you about my 2026 vision board, goals, and a plan of attack on how to reach my goals. I feel like that's the one thing I'm doing different this year. I feel like in years prior, I make this big, beautiful board on Canva. I get so excited about the new year. I put all these goals, some not super attainable, on this board, and then I never reference it again until the end of the year when I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a new one and see what I did. And then it's like, oh, I didn't reach any of the goals that I set last year because I didn't think about them again after the beginning of the year. It's like this time of year, everyone gets so excited because it's the holidays. You have this time off. You're excited about the prospect of a new year, new you, clean slate, all these things. And you make this vision board. And then January 1st, 2nd, 3rd rolls around, you're back to work. And it just like everything kind of falls off again, and you're just like living life. And then before you know it, it's December again. So this year, I think an action plan is super important for me because I actually want to reach my goals, and I'm not setting goals that are super unattainable. I don't want to do that. I don't want to create some sort of sense of like burnout or unhealthy relationship with like the goals that I set. So I was hoping that this video can help both me and you with coming up with good goals, coming up with attainable goals, coming up with a plan on how you can like reach for them and how you can get there. One thing is I'll kind of skim over some of the sections because like for my career section doesn't really pertain to a lot of you. So I'll kind of skim over that, but the other ones I'll go into more depth about because it's going to be categories that I think you might have on your board as well. And maybe my action plan can help you with your action plan. So let's just get into it. This vlog is going to be a little bit more chatty than usual and a little bit longer probably because there's a lot to break down here. So I think the first category that a lot of people will have on their board is health and wellness. So I'm going to start there. My first subcategory of health and wellness is to build a routine. That is one of my goals, build a routine. I fall into this rut where it's like I will want to read a book, so then I'll read it in one sitting, and then I'll read 6 books, and then I won't read a book again. Or I do the same thing with TV or vlogs or vlogging or just whatever it may be. I will be like kind of manic. And so I think a routine will help me with all these things. And creating a routine will help me with all of my other goals, essentially. And that's why it's my very like first and foremost goal is to build a routine. And I think the very start of that is setting my alarm on my phone for 6 to 6:30 in the morning. Just kind of depends on what I've got going for the day, but waking up anywhere between 6 and 6:30. I know that that's a normal time that most people are already awake and moving around, but I work from home. I like own a little bit of my own business, so I really don't have to be like driving to an office. There may be some days I kind of have to go do some things not here, but for the most part, I don't. And so my goal is to start waking up a little bit earlier. Currently, I'm going to bed at 2 in the morning and I'm waking up at 10 in the morning. Part of that is my husband has been home, and so like I follow whatever routine he's in. And that's another problem because he switches his routine based off of his work. So he works out of town, and for a few of his weeks out of town, he'll be on nights and then he'll come home, and he doesn't work at all on his week at home. So I like really fall into his schedule. And then he'll switch between days and nights. So if he's on nights and then he comes home, he'll be going on days, and then he'll come home and he'll go back to nights. So he's always flipping his schedule, and then I do it too. And I need to not do that. So building a routine, and then my action plan for that is simply waking up at 6 to 6:30 in the morning, and then everything else will fall under this little category pretty much. So the next thing is under my health and wellness category is to move my body more. My action plan for this is to wake up and instead of scrolling on my phone or just like laying in bed or pressing snooze, like get out of bed, get some clothes on, get a glass of water, put my hair back, and go for a walk. If the weather's nice and the sun is coming up, walk outside. If that doesn't make sense, put my walking pad in the living room and start walking. Like just move my body. I'm not going to say that I need to do 5,000 steps or 10,000 steps or a mile a day. Like I'm not going to say anything like that because if I do that and I don't reach that goal for that day or that week, I will fall off of it and I won't go back to it because it's no longer attainable for me. So if it's as simple as moving my body for 5 minutes in the morning because that's what makes sense for my day, that's fine. At least I did it. If it makes sense for me to walk an hour, cool, let's do it. So it's literally as simple as that. That's my first action plan, is just to wake up and start walking. My second one is to be mindful. So if I'm watching TV, is now a good time for me to walk on my walking pad? Even though I already walked this morning, If I'm relaxing right now, does it make sense for me to walk longer? Like, should I? And so just being mindful of the time that I have and the opportunities that I have to move my body. And then the third one is if I'm tired or I want more coffee in the day, which I happen to do quite often, like right now, it's 1:45 and I'd love to make another cup of coffee, but I'm trying to limit it to 1 cup a day. So I should get up and move my body instead of making a cup of coffee. If I want to go take a nap, get up and move your body. It's one of the things that they say will literally fight off tiredness is to move your body and drink a glass of cold water. So that's one of my action plans as well to move my body more. Because if I'm getting tired, get up, move around, whether it's going to walk outside in the yard, going for a full walk, walking on the walking pad, walk. Just move your body, wake up, and then get back to work. My third subcategory under health and wellness kind of falls into this same thing as moving my body, but it's making my body stronger. I only have 2 action plans for this because they're what makes sense to me and what makes sense to my time, my schedule, and my day. The first one is to wear ankle weights, and it's wear ankle weights while I'm walking, wear them while I'm doing chores, wear them while I'm cooking dinner, whatever it may be, just like put them on, move around with them. The second action plan on this is to start doing 3 sets of 5. And it's like if I get up from my desk right now to go to the kitchen, do 3 sets of 5 lunges, do 3 sets of 5 sit-ups or jumping jacks, something that moves your body. And it makes sense for me because, like I said, I'm a person who will burn out. So if I set that I'm going to work out every morning for an hour and then I don't do it, I won't get back to it. And I'll be like, no, it's too much. So this is something that's super easy. It's just being mindful again of moving your body, and that will strengthen my body just a little bit. It's not like a huge dramatic difference, but it's more than what I am doing, which is getting up from my desk, walking, coming and sitting back down. At least at this rate, I'll get up, do a little bit of movement, more than usual, and then feel better at the end of the day that I actually did something. But those are super, super simple action plans, and I think it's ones that I can put into my day very easily. My fourth subcategory is to cook more meals at home. That sounds super simple, but for me it's not because I have a horrible routine. So currently, say I'm in my office, which I will be in here tonight for a long time. Say I'm in here till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then I'm hungry and I want to call Uber Eats because it makes more sense, or I pull out chicken fingers and make them out of the oven, which I do a lot, and that's horrible. That is not good for my body. So I have 3 action plans when it comes to cooking more meals at home. The first one is cook when I feel like it. If I feel like cooking at 2 in the afternoon for my dinner, even though I'm not going to eat dinner, then if it feels like the right time for me to cook, cook. Like let myself cook then because it makes sense to me. Instead of waiting until 7 o'clock at night and then not wanting to cook and eating something like really poopy for my body, cook when I feel like it. And that kind of falls in the second action plan is kind of similar. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait till it's 7 o'clock at night to eat dinner. Don't wait till it's 8 o'clock at night to eat dinner whenever you don't feel like cooking. Cook early in the day or cook at 5. Like stop yourself from your work, go cook, make a good dinner, make a nutritious dinner, and then come back and work. And then my third one that will help me with this is to meal plan. I'm very bad about buying the right groceries or buying the groceries and then not wanting that meal anymore. So I need to be better about like freezing things. But on like Sunday or Monday of the week, I need to sit down, create a meal plan, order my groceries, have them delivered. I do delivery because I live like 25 minutes out of town. And so I'm 30 minutes from one HEB and 30 minutes from the other, and I can get them delivered for $7.95. And so like it just makes sense financially to do that because it would be the same as like getting gas, and time is money. So all the time you would spend, it just makes sense. I enjoy doing it this way. It also helps me not like overspend or overindulge because walking down the aisles, I'll grab stuff I don't need. And if I meal plan and just do delivery, then I go in exactly for I type in sweet yellow onion and that's what I need. I don't like browse their snack section or anything online. So it helps me in like multi ways to just order it here. But I need to be better about doing it weekly and just having it ready. So whenever it's Monday at 5 p.m., when it's time to cook dinner, I have what I need and I know what I'm cooking. My last subcategory on health and wellness is to work towards pregnancy. I'm not going to say get pregnant or anything like that because we've been trying to do that for the last few years and it doesn't work. And I don't want it to be discouraging or like a healthy or like an unhealthy thing for me. I want to be just intentional about it. And so I've got 3 action plans under this category. And one of them is to take my vitamins every day. And I even made a calendar that says like, did we walk? Did we take our vitamins? Have we drank enough water? Like every single day when I'm looking at my calendar to do my work for the day, I have those little reminders there to just make sure I do it. I have my vitamins right here in front of me, and that's what I keep looking at. So just being intentional about taking my vitamins and preparing my body better. And that's kind of where it falls into my health and wellness goals of like eating better also that matters for trying to get pregnant and trying to maintain a healthy pregnancy. And so eating better food at home, drinking more water, limit coffee and limiting alcohol. So limiting coffee also falls into that walking more category so that I'm not drinking more than I really need. It's more of a craving. I don't need it. And then limiting alcohol consumption as well. I already don't drink a lot, but like I drink socially or occasionally, like with my husband when he's home, or like when it's nice outside, like having a drink while you're cooking dinner on the grill. It's just like really a nice vibe. And so I just need to limit that, especially since I would prefer to have a baby over having a drink of alcohol. So just being more intentional with that. And then my third action plan is to move my body more and strengthen it, which you've already seen me talk about those categories in my action plan for those. But those will really help in like the labor and delivery process, but also in the pregnancy process, and just being strong and healthy for a baby and for my body to have a baby. We have been trying for a few years. We've been pregnant before and lost the baby. And so there's a lot that comes into this category for me. And that's kind of why I say work towards pregnancy and not necessarily get pregnant. There's a lot of um, stress whenever you're like, you have to get pregnant right now. There's a lot of stress that's not good for trying to get pregnant. And there's a lot of health anxiety, which I already have health anxiety. So I just have to set a goal that makes sense, doesn't stress me out, doesn't overwhelm me, because I haven't been good about taking vitamins. I haven't been good about limiting coffee. I haven't been good about any of these things because if I worry too much about this outcome, then I get overwhelmed and I don't do it. And I don't know how to make that make sense. It's just who I am as a person. I think you can tell that by a few of the goals I've set so far and have talked about previously. And so these just make sense for me when it comes to wanting this next goal in my life. My next like main category is finance, and I think this is also a huge one that a lot of people will have. Currently, I am starting a new job tomorrow. I start part-time. I think I will go full-time pretty quick. I own a podcast that is able to be monetized, and it would be really cool if I eventually got to like brand deals and stuff with this. I don't have that as one of my goals this year because I don't think that's an attainable goal for my first year doing this. But for the podcast, we definitely are monetized and able to get to a point where we can do merch and make a Patreon and run ads and all the things. We are there. We just haven't done it yet because we don't know the right path on getting there. And so for me, financially, I've got about three sources of potential income, and I need to figure out what each one has the potential to be, what my max bills are, and then just like work from there, really. And so all of that is subject to change pretty quickly. And that's why I say I just want to make a budget. I want to check in every month and say, did this make sense for me? And I've never really created one before. I've always just kind of like gotten paid and then like go about my life, like spending money where it needs to be spent. And then if there's money left over when I get paid on that next payday, then I'll transfer money over to savings. If there's not, then I don't. And just like, I'm already like, don't really like to spend money. So like, I'll go to the store and be like, do I really need that? And so I've never really had to budget before, but I would like to create a better budget and be just better about being conscientious of not spending money on fast food, not spending money on coffee, because those are my biggest weakness. If I'm going through town, I'll just like pick up food, like treat yourself. And I'll pick up coffee every time I go into town. And I just don't need to do that. And so my budget's more about creating like a spending budget whenever it comes to like shopping around or fast food or coffee. So I want to create a budget. That's pretty much my goal there. I've kind of talked a little off tangent there for a second. My action plan is to once a month, I want to check my budget and create the budget for the next month because I feel like some of my finances are going to be kind of a month to month variance. Like there's going to be a change there every month. So staying in tune with what that looks like and checking at the end of every month for the next month. And then checking kind of throughout the month, but really setting in a schedule like the last Friday of every month. Put it in the calendar, check your budget. How did it go? How is it going? What can we do for next month? And then my next little thing under finance is just to save money. It's that simple. I'm not going to say I want to save $5,000 a year or 10,000 or 500 a week. I'm not going to say anything like that because like I said, my pay is going to vary, but I also think that sometimes that's just not reasonable and it'll create this unhealthy relationship with money. And I don't want to create that for myself and I don't want you to have to create that for yourself either. So I think that saving money can be as simple as having $5 left over at the end of the month and moving it into a savings account. It really can be that simple. It doesn't have to be this huge thing, or being conscientious of whenever you're shopping and being like, oh, well, that's only $5. Well, that's $5 you could use on gas or on food or something else. Like, do you really have to have that? I know that it's like you can be like, oh, well, this is only $5 and this is only $5 and this is only $5. Guess what? That was $100 at the end of all of it because you thought, well, this is such a small payment, I can do that. And I fall victim to that a lot. And so I am trying to be conscientious of that. And that's where my budget comes in. Like, yeah, it might be only $5 right now, but if you do it 5 more times, like that's a problem. So save money. My action plan for that is just to move money into savings like I have been doing every payday and making sense of what my budget will look like. And again, when you're shopping, do I really need to have that? Is this something that's in my budget? Does it make sense for me? Under finance, also, I have to work towards buying a house. It's the same thing as like the pregnancy thing. I don't want it to make it such a goal that it stresses me out or that I feel discouraged that I haven't done it yet. My husband and I have been working towards buying a house for the last since we've been together for 7 years. And it's not that we like couldn't buy a house, it's that there's no houses that we see that we like that's in our budget. There hasn't been a time that it like really makes sense or just like feels right to buy a house. And I'm not going to say I want to buy a house this year and like make a decision that is going to affect me for the next 5 to 10 years, like whatever it may be. A house is a big investment. And I want to make sure that we're buying something we are happy in, that makes sense to us, that's not an impulse buy. And so in this, my action plan is just to continue to save money monthly for a house, which that also falls into my saving category where I'm like, I don't want to save $5,000, $10,000, whatever. I don't want to say some big thing because what if we do make this goal attainable? What if we do buy a house? That takes your savings. You're no longer saving $10,000 this year because you've bought a house. What if you buy a house and you put your deposit down and your AC goes out? Your savings is, so that's where it's like you got to be kind of conscientious, have a goal, but think like if this happens, maybe it'll change this. So our action plan is to continue to save money for that and to continue looking for the right house on what will feel right for us and just keeping our eyes open and being ready for what may happen. The next category of mine is career. I'm not going to break it down too much because my career and my paths don't really alter you or your career and your paths as much either. But I want to grow in my new career path. I'm going to be a project coordinator. I've been a project coordinator when it comes to website development, when it comes to landscape and irrigation development, when it comes to things like that. When it comes to the podcast, I do the project coordination for that. So I have been a project coordinator in a sense, but I've never been a project coordinator for the type of job I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing development, like housing development. And a lot of that is going to be just staying on top of things and being a planner and being an organizer. So pretty much every day, just making sure that I'm staying up to my tasks, staying up to what I need to be doing, checking in for the next day, the week, the month, the year, like staying on top of what makes sense and what's going on. And so one of my goals, like I said, is just to grow as a project coordinator. My next one is to grow as a vlogger, as a personal like vlog with you. And so it's as simple as posting a weekly vlog, which my action plans for that is to create a monthly plan for my content. What do I want each week to look like? What kind of content do I want to come out with that on that Sunday? And that kind of falls into like my social media as well. I'm pretty good about forming my long form content and creating a plan for that and like executing it. Short form, I'm not very good at. I was doing short form TikToks, Instagrams, and I was doing day in my life videos where I was just like putting a camera up while I did my laundry, my dishes, whatever, and like kind of putting music on or while I was cooking dinner, things like that. But that doesn't really reflect the long form content I do. So I need to find a way to find the niche or find the right way to post short form that matches the long form. So like this week, the 2025 vision board or 2026 vision board video, I need to find short form that makes sense. That's not just like this. This is not super intriguing when it's short form. It's nice when it's long form because most of the time long form people want to watch you and this is what they want to see out of you. But short form is not as much like this. And so figuring out the right like B-roll maybe with music to like share that I'm doing my 2026 board. Maybe it's me gluing the pictures and cutting out the pictures and looking through Pinterest. There's a bunch of B-roll of that with music in the background and then like linking it to this video. I don't know, but I've got to figure that out, creating more of a like a workflow whenever it comes to being a content creator and things like that. And then I have a few goals when it comes to that aren't worth not aren't worth sharing, but don't need to be shared because they don't work for you either, or they don't benefit for me to share with you, I guess. So then I also have a podcast with my sister. So just staying on top of that, creating merch, creating a Patreon, running our ads, figuring out our finances for that, and just kind of growing the podcast. We've already been growing it for the last year, and we're really on like a good track. And so just continuing to stay good with that and grow the podcast and make it make more sense. And yeah, I'm not going to dig into that too much either because it's kind of more of like a personal thing. But I do have goals when it comes to building my podcast up. But now for the fun stuff, let's get back into some fun things. It's hobbies. Ooh, I want to read more this year. I'm a huge book person. I've got a bookshelf there, bookshelf there. This is a bookshelf. I love to read. And this year, between vlogging, podcasting, full time job, I did not read like at all. I read a few books at Christmas and that was it. So, one of my goals this year is to read 20 plus books. And my action plan for that is instead of scrolling on my phone at nighttime, I am going to pick up a book. But in that, this is where routine falls into it. I'm not going to read till 2 in the morning. I'm going to read a couple chapters, go to bed, and read the next few chapters the next night. Like, have some self control when it comes to reading these books. Normally, I'll start a book and be like, ooh, I love it, and I'll read it all in one sitting. We're not doing that this year. We're not. We're going to read it. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to like let it last. And that's how we're going to be successful in reading this year. I also want to widen my variety of books that I read. I am very much a romance girl. So I kind of don't think I really want to do self-help, but maybe like some murder mystery or some like paranormal, some different stuff in there. But basically, I want to read 20 books this year. My action plan is to read before bed most nights, stop scrolling TikTok or Reels like aimlessly, pick up a book, and then widening my variety. Another hobby I want to do is like once a month, I want to learn how to cook, like bake or make a different coffee syrup, like something fun in the kitchen. I want to do like once a month, and it'll probably be something I end up vlogging, but like learning how to bake bread or learning a coffee syrup recipe or making a different coffee syrup recipe the next month or maybe trying a new dinner because I do cook a lot of like the same meals over and over because I like it. And then I'll cook just my usual comfort food. And so I like once a month want to try cooking something different, whether it's baking or a coffee syrup or a meal, something different in the kitchen once a month. And that just kind of comes into my action plan for that is just thinking about it, the meal planning, the prepping, the content creating, that all kind of falls into what I'll end up doing once a month, but that's one of my like random hobby goals. Another hobby that I don't do too much because where I live, we have a Goodwill and like two antique stores. I want to antique more. And I'll explain why a little bit more, but one of the goals for that antiquing is also creating content out of it. But I just want to go antiquing more. I think it sounds fun. It would be a hobby for me. I really don't have a lot of like hobbies. I guess I do because I like my podcast and vlogging. Those are hobbies, but those are also like career choices for me. So this is like different, you know? Like I don't do the needle pointing, I don't do all the coloring, I don't do all the things that a lot of people who vlog do. But I know a lot of people go antiquing, and I definitely want to do that more. So my action plan for that is just like once a month, think about, hey, is it Saturday? Could I go antiquing? Or Friday afternoon, could I go antiquing? I'll probably have to drive to like Fort Worth, Dallas, wherever other places to do a little bit more than what we've got here from where I live. But go antiquing, I think that sounds fun. And this falls hand in hand with kind of like my around the house things I would like to do. I want to redo my office, but I want to redo it by antiquing. I want my decorations to be like antique or thrifted. I want not necessarily my furniture. My furniture I'm pretty okay with being like a generic, but if I did find a piece of furniture that worked, but mainly I want to redo my office by antiquing, just by like decorating it. Currently, none of it's really put together. We had custody of my nephew. This was his gaming chair, and he didn't take it with him when he went back home. And so I am using it right now because my office chair, I've had the same chair since 2020, and it's not doing good. And so I have his chair currently. He left his computer desk here too, so I have it back here, and then this is a desk I've had. And so like currently my office doesn't really flow very well. So I'd like to redo my office and make it somewhere I like to be, and like I am in here all the time. And currently I'm trying to figure out how I want to do my desks anyways. Because like I said, I start a new job and it is work from home. And so they gave me a laptop, but I also work on my own computer. And I am only doing part-time for right now, and so it's like I don't want them to be on the same desks. I kind of want to have like a work desk and like a laundry desk. So I need to figure that out, and that's part of my goal for the year, and that's where antiquing comes into play. So my action plan for that is to actually start like a Pinterest board or like a Canva board and start piecing together my office so that when I go antiquing, I know things that I'm kind of looking for already, so that I'm not just like aimlessly like, oh, that'll work, and then bringing it home and being like, where does that go? You know? So creating some sort of board, an outline for how I want my office to look. And then I'm going to slowly piece it together. That's part of my action plan, is to slowly piece it together, because I am very much a person who will buy all of it at once and then not like it and wish I hadn't done that. So that's why I'm going to create a board and slowly piece it together. Another thing that falls under the antiquing and kind of in my office is I want to redo my reading nook area. Currently, I have one of the like, I don't even know what kind of chair it is. It's where it's got like the circle base and then it's like a circle pillow, you know? I hate it. I asked my dad for it for Christmas like 4 years ago, and I liked it in the beginning, and it's not very comfortable, so I never sit in it. The only reason it's in here is because if my husband comes and sits in here while I'm working, like he'll sit there and talk to me for a little bit. Other than that, the thing would probably found the curb already. I need to figure out my reading nook. I need to figure out a chair that I actually want to have. That part I probably won't thrift or antique because I'm kind of like a cleanly freak, and the idea of like furniture that someone else has sat on kind of grosses me out. Like even my nephew, he sat on this and I Lysoled it and cleaned it so much before I brought it in here. So antiquing furniture doesn't really sound like the vibe for me, but antiquing the things that'll go around my reading nook and the decorations and things, it'll kind of fall in the same category of redoing my office. It's redoing that and like having a plan, having a vision board, not just buying willy-nilly. And yeah, so that's just one of my goals, and I think it'll be super exciting and something I'll definitely be like vlogging about and following a process along with, because I know so many people have reading nooks and reading spaces and all of the things that I love to see, and I know that y'all will love to see it too. Another around the house like simple thing is to stay on top of laundry. I actually went in and I created a schedule because it's the only way I'll stick to it, but my schedule is going to be, so this is my action plan for staying on top of laundry. Every other Monday, I'm going to clean my bedding. I already kind of do it like every other week, but it'll be like a Wednesday or a Sunday or just whatever makes sense. So, but I'm going to do Mondays because since I work from home, I am guaranteed to be at home on Monday. I am going to clean my sheets on a Monday. Every other Monday. Every Tuesday, I'm going to do my clothes. I have a really weird habit of waiting till like Saturday, Sunday, the weekend to do my laundry, and then I'm not normally even home on the weekend. So then it's like, why would I set my schedule to be on the weekend? I'm going to set it on Monday and Tuesday. So every other Monday, I'm going to do my sheets. Every Tuesday, I'm going to do my clothes. If it takes into Wednesday, continue on. But if I'm doing it every Tuesday, it should not be that way. And then probably like every other month, on like the first Monday of the month or whatever day I'm going into town, I will take my husband's dry cleaning because he gets his work, or he gets his nice pants and he gets his nicer shirts extra heavy starched. I do not do those here at home, but I'm also really bad about taking them to the dry cleaners for him, and he works out of town. So I need to just take them so that when he gets home, they're in the closet. So I'm putting in my schedule every other month to take his dry cleaning as needed. And then I also need to be better about hang drying my husband's clothes. I will just put his shirts in the dryer, and for whatever reason, my clothes really don't shrink in the dryer, but his do. Even though I put the temperature on like the lowest temp, so it like really shouldn't be like adding too much heat, his clothes really do shrink in there. So I got to be better about that, more mindful. So it's crazy that's on my action plan, but it is. And then another thing around the house, which kind of falls into that once a month where I want to cook more things and do better, is making my coffee at home more, which it also falls into my budget. If I'm working from home, I make my coffee at home. But like if I go to my sister's to record the podcast, or I go into town to go like get groceries or go shopping or whatever I go into town for, I will get a coffee in town. And I really need to stop doing that. If I want a coffee that bad, I need to make it and take it with me. So it's a simple goal, but it's a goal. One of my next categories is relationships. I don't really need to alter like any of my goals or add any goals about spending time with my family. I already spend a ton of time with my family. I'm really good about that. But I'm really bad about like prioritizing my time with my husband and prioritizing my time with my friends. My husband's at home right now, but he's only home for 1 week at a time, right? And I will find myself in here in my office with my nose in my computer or doing something in here, and he's in the living room watching a TV show, and I'm not spending that time with him and like creating that quality time with him. So I want to be more intentional about like date nights. Like we don't even necessarily have to go anywhere, but really like focusing on each other, having a date night at home. Like last night we made steaks together, we made mashed potatoes together, we made our broccoli together, like we cooked together. And then we set up the TV trays and we talked throughout dinner because we don't have a kitchen table. And so like we sat and we actually talked throughout dinner without like putting a show on or anything like that. We actually like spent time together. And I just need to be better about like even if I have work to do, just taking my laptop into the living room and sitting by him. It's as simple as being in his presence, but I just want to prioritize our time together more and like romanticize it a little bit more because we do fall into the habit of like just being together, like not talking or doing anything, just kind of like being together. And so I just want to be more intentional about our time together and like creating more memories together, whether it's dancing in the kitchen because we're listening to music and cooking dinner. Like it can be that simple. But just like really fostering my relationship with my husband. We have a great relationship, but I just want to continue to like pour myself into who we are as a couple and things like that. And then another one of my goals is to spend more time with friends. And I say that because, like, one of my best friends, I Snapchat her all day, every day, but we hardly see each other. And then one of my other friends, we always say we're going to go get coffee and we don't. And so, one of the things I want to do is like once a month, twice a month, like put it in my calendar that Thursday mornings is us having coffee together. Like, it's really that simple, or going to have lunch together, or going to have drinks or whatever. But like, really putting in our schedule, this is the day we hang out at this time, and from there we can plan what we do, but just having a set time to be with my friends. So I'm gonna put that in my calendar. It's one of my action plans is to get with her. It's one friend in particular, but to get with her and be like, hey, what day works between both of us so that we can go and set it into our schedule and just do it. And then I have a couple of experience things. That sounds like a weird category, but that's how I'm choosing to title it and then have subcategories. One of my subcategories is to have bonfire and movie nights outside. The weather has not really permitted that. It is December 28th in Texas and it's like 80 degrees outside right now. So a bonfire hasn't really been like in the forecast. Come January and February, I think it'll be more cold and like bonfire weather. And I guess not necessarily a bonfire. My husband and I got like a fire pit. So I just want to like romanticize our nights here at home and have our fire pit out. I bought us a projector and a screen. So like putting out the projector and the whatever, and just like having a good, fun night in our backyard and hanging out together and watching a good movie, having a fire. And I'll upload a picture and I'll show you what like picture I used for this on my vision board because it is such a dream. But I love bonfire nights. I love hanging out outside. I love having nights outside with like the projector and the movies. And so that's just something I want to do more of. I already did a lot of it this year, but without the fire pit. And I just want to do more of that and like really plan fun nights around it, whether it's like themed movie nights with the bonfire and the projector and like props and foods and just like planning a theme. I just want to have more fun bonfire hanging out outside experiences. Sorry, little intermission. My camera died again. But then also in experiences, I have just like a subcategory to spend more time outside. It kind of falls into the like bonfire category, but the other part of it is like during the summer, since it gets so hot here, I don't go outside. Or I work so much inside on like podcast vlogging work that I just like don't make time to go outside. And that's part of the walking outside. That's one of the reasons I want to get into like walking outside and not just saying on my walking pad is I need to get outside like in the sun. And I live in a beautiful neighborhood. I'm on the river. I've got a big, beautiful pecan tree in my front yard. I've got great St. Augustine grass. And so I need to be better about just going out there. I was really good when we first moved here. I would go and sit on the porch every morning with my coffee. I read a lot of books out there, but I only had Little Dog at that point in time, and Little Dog can be trusted. I don't have a fence. So Little Dog can be trusted to like stay in our front yard and just like mosey around and then come sit in my lap while I'm reading like that and like enjoying that time outside. But now I have a dog named Biggie and she is crazy. She's a weenie dog, and I don't know if you have a weenie dog or if you've ever been around a weenie dog, but they bark. They love to chase cats or birds or butterflies, like anything. And she's been very hard to train, like when it comes to stuff like that. And we don't have a fence, and so it's a lot harder for me to like go sit outside and enjoy that time because she wants to be out there and being crazy and stuff like that. And so I, for one, need to be better about trying to train her to be outside with me and not be so reactive. But I just want to spend more time outside, and she can enjoy being inside while I'm outside. And I can throw a blanket down under the tree and do some hobbies, do some work, read a book. But I just want to be better about being outside. And so my action plan for that is just like I said already, outside and walking. And then doing my craft or my hobby outside. That's one of my action plans. Being considerate of like, hey, the weather's nice, I should take my book outside. Hey, the weather's nice, maybe I take my laptop outside. But like going outside, enjoying that, being outside in the sun. Another experience thing I want to do is go to a concert, but I've been very hesitant on like booking tickets or getting tickets because I'm like, well, what if I'm pregnant and don't want to do that anymore? You know? And so I want to go to a concert. It's kind of more of like a, kind of want to do this. It's going to be on here in case it like makes sense to buy the tickets, but kind of want to go to a concert. One of my last categories is travel. This one is not as attainable either. It is attainable, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm pregnant, no. If I'm not pregnant, yes. I want to go to London in the fall. But like if I got pregnant like quickly, then I would be like very pregnant in the fall, and going to London would not make sense. But if I like don't get pregnant quickly, then it like would make sense. So it kind of, deters things or moves things around. So my action plan for that would be building my budget for it, trying to find the best possible time to go if it makes sense for us to go. And we also want to get a travel credit card. So actually doing that. We've talked about it. We've talked about all the best options, but we haven't applied for it yet because we just get carried away with life. But getting a travel credit card that makes sense for what we want to do. Another thing I want to do is I want to visit New York when it's chilly. That is another one of my goals. I don't want to go to New York during the summer when it's like hot outside or anything like that. I want to go when it's specifically dreary and like dreary. I love cold, rainy, depressing weather, and I'm probably the only person in the planet who does, but I love that. So I want to go to New York when it's like, I like my picture, I'll show you on the screen, but it's like literally a dark night with like fog and mist in the air walking around downtown New York. But it's the same goals, building a budget for that, or same action plan, budget, best time to go, and travel credit cards. And I can do this when pregnant. So this one we have to figure out better. And then I also have suddenly decided I want to go to Disney World. And all of my action plans for that are the same. But again, Disney World, you can't do pregnant because I would want to ride the rides. So it's one of those that like New York is probably the most attainable because I can do all of the things in New York and be pregnant. London, not so much, and not so much Disney World, but they're on the list. And then my very last thing that I kind of want to touch on again is just rounding back to a routine. So as I mentioned, and as you can tell, and pretty much all of the things I have said to you and all of the goals, a routine matters. It matters to your health, mentally, physically, to getting these goals accomplished. And so I think everyone needs to start with the nailing down their routine and what makes sense for them. And some people, you work in an office, so it makes sense that you wake up at 5:30, you get ready, you go to work, you come home, you make it. It doesn't make sense for me. And the last job I had where I worked from home, I was working from home for the last 3.5 years, and their schedule was very much like just do what you need to do to get your stuff done. So I could work from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. if I wanted to. I could work from 6 a.m. to noon if I wanted to. Like as long as I got my stuff done, that's all that mattered. And I very much just did what I needed to do when I needed to do it without creating a routine. And I think my next job is going to be very similar in the like do what you got to do to get your stuff done manner. But I still want to be better about creating my own routine because I have so many things going on between vlogging, podcast, and a like part-time that will go full-time job that I just want to be better about a routine. I don't want to be constantly like just up in the air on what I'm doing. And I don't know, like I like the ability to have the freedom but I need to do right with that freedom. So I really need to figure it out. My routine is going to set a lot of these actions and a lot of these goals into play. And yeah, I hope that I helped you make sense of some of your goals or some of the ways to reach your goals. I know this was a chatty vlog, so I'll shut it down soon, but I'm happy that you were all here with me. I hope that you gained some insight or that you just enjoyed, listening to me yap, because that's basically what this vlog was. But I think I will see you next week, hopefully. I don't know what I'm doing because my husband is going out of town for work the week or the day of New Year's Eve, and so for New Year's I probably will be sitting here at home not doing much with my dogs, and that's okay. But if I do anything fun, I'll vlog it. I doubt I do. So I will keep you up to date, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching, and if you had anything fun or interesting that you liked about this vlog, or maybe want to share some of your goals, feel free to drop them in the comments. And like, comment, subscribe, all the good things, and I will see you hopefully next week.